Coming up on this week's Secrets from a Coach.
The external locus of control is where I don't feel empowered to do stuff. Now, that gives you a convenient way to not take responsibility for things that you don't want to.
Yeah.
But it can create a sense of helplessness. It can create a sense of disempowerment, and you're less likely to make healthy, thrive-based choices in your life, because what's the point?
Yes.
Crap always happens to me. The internal locus of control is I call the shots in my life. So stuff happens externally, and I've got the choice then, which I know you're hugely keen about, to be able to choose what I do. So I make things happen in my life regardless of the external events that happen.
Secrets from a Coach. Thrive and maximise your potential in the evolving workplace. Your weekly podcast with Debbie Green of Wishfish and Laura Thompson-Staveley of Phenomenal Training.
Debs.
Law, you all right?
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year to you. New year, new me, Debs. I'm going to be a whole new person.
I'm going to stick to all my resolutions and all that rubbish.
No more mucking about. That's it. All
I'm
of
on
those
it.
things. Yeah. So welcome to episode 269. And this is an opportunity to channeling the whole get ready with me social phenomena. We are going to channel that, and we invite you to join us on a get vision setting with me, where we are going to give you the highlights and the top tricks to whether it's for self, whether it's for your team, to have a vision setting, purpose resetting, getting your plans in gear, whether it is new year, new team, new financial year, new job, new chapter, or you just want to turn over a new leaf. We hope you find it's an upbeat, practical session. But Debs, we did have an interesting, funny little exchange with our team earlier on, didn't we?
We did. It was quite interesting, wasn't it? About whether we would, how would we mitigate risks? What would we do if we were stuck in an airport? Because one of our colleagues is stuck in an airport at the moment and can't get back. Would one of us said we'd go and see the pyramids, and then the other said no, we would stay there and wait in case we're called. And then we were on about resolutions and goal setting, weren't we? Which was hysterical, actually, as to why we do and don't.
It was really funny. So I don't know whether it's because I'm a Capricorn. I don't know whether it's just I was made that way or developed that way, but I need a plan.
You do.
So nothing fires me up more in a January than having a sense of idea as to what I'm doing in December.
Yes, I know. And you always set that plan though, Laura, don't you?
I know, but I think there's others in the team that, quite frankly, would be horrified and would feel a little bit boxed in if they already had an idea as to what they were doing in December. So we just thought that was quite an interesting refresher of different things work for different people.
Absolutely.
But the overall intent we want from this is a sense of energy, optimism and empowerment for the next stage ahead.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's why we thought, wouldn't it be fun if we were looking at this whole concept of new year, new me, or new you, or whatever, and then setting intentions, not resolutions, but with kindness at the core. And I think that's what we need to think about as to because I think resolutions often come from a place of fixing things. Like, I should be doing this. I must lose 24 stone. I failed before because I wasn't good enough and all of that stuff. Whereas I think intentions come from a place of choosing. And therefore, I'm curious about wanting to find out more, or I want to move towards whatever that might be, the intention might be, or I'm open to becoming something. So I think it's more directional. I think as well, intentions, they're definitely more compassionate around it. And also I think they can be more flexible because they allow that space and time for being human and having to deal with stuff that might come in at a particular time, and therefore you know the resolution you set has just been blown out the window because of something that was completely out of your control. So I think I think it's the curiosity piece, which I love anyway, is being curious about it. But and I think if we think about what we can do, the benefits of setting resolutions or setting intentions, I should say, not resolutions, they're not outcome obsessed, because they're values led. So visiting, like we did our last episode of the year, wasn't it? We were looking at that. What are your values? So they're coming from that place. You're focusing on how you want to live, not just what you want to achieve. So that whole intention of being is a choice. I think they.
So
Yeah, sorry, Laura.
So, Des, why don't we just do a light touch on the benefits of it? And then I'd love to hear from your experience of coaching all sorts of people, all sorts of shapes and sizes, the type of things that help in that coaching space to reset your intent. And then let's then take it up a bit. If you're doing this with a team, it's almost like a team coaching or team interaction.
Yeah.
And this is all the first in a 4-part focus in January, looking at fresh start. And just to quote a favourite quote that I unearthed from some material way back when. This is a new one for you, wasn't it, Debs? Maria Robinson. Nobody can go back and create a new beginning, but anybody can start today to create a new ending.
Yeah.
So no matter what your age or stage, you're never too old to reset your intention or your kind of direction. So so in a moment it'd be brilliant to hear your thoughts in terms of the practical steps that you might help take a sort of coaching client through that. I tell you what reminded me when we were just researching this, and I know you're keen on this tool as well, but Rotter's 1954 work around locus of control.
I can't believe it's that old.
It's that old. And I've got a sort of a slightly fresh take that I wanted to run past you, see if you sort of thought it was good. But there are a lot, if you haven't heard of it before, Rotter's Locus of Control. So it's well over 70 years old now, but it really looks at this idea of empowerment and who is running one's life. So is it the mindset of an external locus of control? So things happen to me, stuff always happens that I have to deal with. It's them lot over there that is creating this challenge that I'm having to deal with. So the external locus of control is where I don't feel empowered to do stuff. Now, that gives you a convenient way to not take responsibility for things that you don't want to.
Yeah.
But it can create a sense of helplessness. It can create a sense of disempowerment, and you're less likely to make healthy, thrive-based choices in your life because what's the point? Crap always happens to me. The internal locus of control is I call the shots in my life. So stuff happens externally and I've got the choice then, which I know you're hugely keen about, to be able to choose what I do. So I make things happen in my life regardless of the external events that happen. So this really picks up the stuff that the Stoics were talking about thousands of years, 2,000 years ago.
Your favourite people, Laura.
Favourite people, my old mates, the Stoics. You have to start hanging around with people older than yourself so you feel young, don't you? Yeah.
Is that why you hang around with me, isn't it, Laura?
Exactly. Yeah. Just tucking into the old scripts just to feel nice and young. And of course, their stuff was around man is not influenced by events alone. It's your take on those, on your perception on that. But the clear link that Rotter came up with in 1954 was people who have an internal locus of control. So I control my life and I control how I choose to deal with things. They tend to feel happier. They have healthier habits. They've got lower likelihood to become addicted to substances that aren't healthy long-term. And from a well-being point of view, that internal locus of control. Now, it can be short-term discomfort because suddenly, if all my friends don't like me anymore, that's for me to do something about.
Absolutely.
Which is an uncomfortable mirror moment.
Yes, it is.
Whereas it's much easier to sort of blame everyone. All my friends are all the wrong types of people because I always seem to find the wrong types of people. So the internal locus of control. So that's like classic 70 years plus. The modern day take on that I thought might be interesting to add to it is, in 1954, all you had was a newspaper, a book, and a chat across the garden fence maybe to be the info that you had to process. In 2026 and beyond, there's so many things out there competing for our attention. So I wonder whether the modern day benefit of intention setting is it doesn't just create an environment where people tend to be healthier and happier. it also enables you to crack on and do stuff that you want and not just be vulnerable to very compelling entertainment. So
definitely.
what would be great to hear from you is how do we set intentions that are so interesting, it's more compelling than a Netflix box set.
I'll see what I can do for you, Laura.
Unless you work for Netflix, in which case, crack on. That's your KPI. So, Debs, typically on our Secret Summer Coach podcast, always names are protected, but it would just be so fascinating to get your take on all those thousands of people you've worked with. What benefit does creating a sense of intention bring to people, and what would be some simple basic steps that all of us could channel right here, right now?
No, definitely. And I think, we mentioned the one earlier about, that they're values led normally. Your intentions are coming from a place of how you want to live your life. And I think going back to what you were just saying earlier, they do support your whole wellness, well-being and not the burnout side of it. Because if we're always chasing for things and we're running out of energy or something happens, that's not good for us in the long run. So they work with your energy, not against it. So if you think you're going to wake up and think, right, my intention is to get fitter, and it's like, well, how do you quantify what fitter means for you? And it will be different for everybody. So thinking about what that looks like, so that you're working with your energy, because if you can't get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and commit to doing a run, why would you? So it's really making sure you're aware of who you are and what works for you. I think also it can help you move away from that self-judgment, because you can return to an intention again and again without failing at it, because again, that's where the flexibility comes in, because if something happens outside of your control, you can actually just pause on what you're doing, but it hasn't gone. It just means you can revisit it and see if it's the right intention or not. And the bit I love is that there's two things here. One is about presence. So it's about being in the now all the time. So you're not dreaming 7, 5, 10, 25 years ahead. You're not looking back 25 years, 10 years, whatever it might be. It's about intentional living in the now. So not a distant, perfect future, because lots of people, when I work with them, want to set up whatever they perceive to be a perfect life. And then, it's got to have this and it must be this. And you go, well, actually, is that really what's going to happen? Because it doesn't always. So I think that's really inviting people then to have curiosity over what they're doing, what's working, what's not, and what might you need to adjust, rather than having the control. Like, I must do this. I failed last year to do my resolution. I must do it this year. I should have done it last year. So it takes away all of that, I suppose, all away that judgment again and fixing things. You're actually choosing to be. So it's a really interesting benefits of it. They're vast when we are working with intent, and choice is a big thing on that one. But we have to be present in the now in order to do that. So I suppose one of the things we always get people to, I was doing something with somebody earlier actually, and they were coming up with their intentions for this year and beyond. And it was really good to listen to what they'd said, because they'd started off with loads of things they wanted to achieve. So they'd gone into like the resolution thing, what they could fix. By the end of it, we'd actually had some questions around it. Instead of what should I do this year, we were asking, how do I want to feel more often? And then what do I want to experience more of? So we start with do you want to feel this year? So we're starting with that gentle, meaningful intentions that connect with how you want to feel, instead of asking, what should I do this year? I must do this year. It takes that away. And also, I think the other question we were asking was, what do I want to protect? So my energy, joy, my health, time. It can be, big things, but we can do that so that we're in a space where we might be calmer, braver to attack different things, spacious, playful, grounded, connected. And they were some of the words that came out that supported the individuals, starting with, how do you want to feel? So I think that's a really nice one to think. So if you were to set your intention, Law, for 2026, how would you want to feel?
Well, without sounding like some super geek student who has done all the homework.
Yeah, but you are, though.
I
You
know,
like
'cause
to know.
I'm such a geek for all of this stuff. I have already set my 2026 sort of intent. So does
Love
this
it.
how does this compare to what you say? So for me, this year I want to be bold.
Okay, so you want to feel bold.
Bold, which is big, optimistic. What does the L stand for? Oh yeah, love.
Love. Don't forget you've just worked on these. Love,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's right there. I need a tattoo, Debs. Big, optimistic, love, drive.
Okay, cool.
So
and
for
then
me,
how do you want to feel
2026,
bold as a result of that?
I want to feel bold, and my mission for that is find the fun this year.
Okay.
Find the fun. That
Okay.
is what I want to be focusing on, because there's
Yeah.
been some heavy lifting in some
Yes.
of my social network recently. So I
Yeah.
think, find the fun.
So you want to
So
feel bold.
bold,
Bold.
not bald,
Not bald, bold.
bold in my Essex accent.
I love that. So I
Bold.
think that's really important, is to connect with the feeling, because we don't very often do we connect with how do we want to feel, because we just don't do it. So it's thinking about, is it how I want to feel more calmer, as you said, more playful, the fun, what is it that you want to bring into it? So, and then it's that making sure you're talking to yourself and giving yourself that permission, soft permission giving word and language around it. We love words and language. So like, I am choosing to do things. It's my choice to do that. So I'm choosing progress over perfection, because one of the people I was dealing with before Christmas was about being perfect and always having everything in place, and it had to be that. So we were able to work on that and work it around to that piece. So I'm choosing progress over perfection, and that made a huge shift in their mindset as to then what they were going to do, how they were going to do it, how they wanted to feel. So it linked back in. I'm going to practice. I am practicing kindness, or I am practicing nice self-talk, or whatever. I'm caring for myself, and I give myself permission to. That's a really empowering one, actually, because it comes back to that choice. I'm giving myself permission to explore this, understand that, with that curiosity rather than control, without putting the fixating on I must do this. So it takes away that rigid demand that we sometimes put on ourselves, really, which is really important, I think. And then for it is then, how do you create those daily intentions, then the actions that you're going to be doing? So how do you anchor your intentions to daily kindness? So there really are little micro things that you're doing every single day. They're not grand gestures, they're nothing like that, but just stopping and reflecting and sort of asking yourself some questions, really. How am I going to speak to myself when I have a bit of a wobble? Thinking about, what if I'm going to be kind to myself, because they should be, what's my minimum viable care on a hard day? Is it I'm just going to go out for a walk? That's all I can do, but I'm going to make sure that I'm absolutely thinking about that. So and then when it is a hard day, again, we're being more kinder to ourselves. So it's that tiny little acts that make a difference, to everyday living, and therefore we are therefore being, and you feel alive more, because you're in that now with it. You're not going, I'm never going to finish it, it's never going to happen. And it goes back to your people you were saying that blame everybody else for their bad luck or lack of progress, or because actually they forget to start with themselves.
But I think this is where it links nicely to sort of individual differences, because my sort of take on the whole self-care and minimal viable care, I love that expression. I think that's, what's your MVC proposition? What's your minimal viable care proposition? I think I think that's brilliant. To enable you to do the big stuff that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
So it's not just protecting yourself to then make your life smaller and stay indoors and not do anything. It's to ensure that whatever your aspirations are, whatever your ambitions, whatever your stage and phase of life is, enabling you to be able to have the time for, or the energy, or the health for, or the wealth for, that you've then got the capacity to be able to enjoy it. And so it doesn't become overwhelming and more things that you haven't achieved, which I guess is the idea, that I know you've been always so keen on, is rather than resolutions, which can then be one more thing that you haven't achieved,
Yeah.
into intention.
Yes.
Because another thing that a phrase, you have these old phrases that you find yourself trotting out, and this was one that I nabbed from a woman called Dee, who was a sales director at an organisation I was at for a number of years. And she just said this as an offhand comment at a conference with 1,000+ salespeople in it. And I thought it was magic. She said the phrase, "The goals are in stone, the timings are in sand."
Nice.
So if I must retrain to be a midwife, but if it doesn't happen this year because I can't get the funding, it doesn't mean I've failed.
Yeah.
If there's a burning desire in that, I must play more of the piano, just thinking of the thing that I beat myself up with.
There you go, say that because you're trying to fix it.
Because you're trying to fix it.
Yeah.
So the goals are in stone, like doing something that is really important to you. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And what can you do to sort of lead yourself towards it? But
Yes.
it doesn't necessarily, the timings might be way out of your control.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I thought that was a nice little phrase. Goals are in stone, timings are in sand.
Yeah.
So that's where an intention just heads you towards directing your energy in the general direction that feels good
of
for you.
where you're going. Yeah, and I think that's being, again, that kind to self to say, well, I'm not going to complete this in 2 years. It may take me 3. Doesn't mean I'm not going to. It just means I'm being kinder. And I'm moving towards that goal or whatever it is that you want to call it. And I think that's where the flex comes into it when we have intentions. They are not promises. This is the other thing. Intentions are not promises. They're companions, as I like to call them.
I love that.
Yeah, they're companions. They walk with you. Yeah, they are not promises, because then you're putting pressure back on. I must lose 24 stone. The pressure that you're putting on yourself in that moment is vast. So it's a companion. So how do I bring it along with me? So I'm not beating myself up, being judgmental, all of those lovely things that we say, because then we can revisit them if something comes along, or we can rewrite them, like you said earlier, or we can park them and come back to them in a more, what I'd like to call, more gentle approach. And that was what we were doing this morning with someone. We were working on what that would look like for them. And they've set themselves an intent to retire at a certain age, and they've got 5 years to go before they get there. So whilst they would never normally plan that far ahead, it's there, gently there, but it's coming back to the now as to, so what's going to enable that to start to come to fruition at some point, so they can revisit them and they walk with them. As I say, they're companions because the thought's already there around it. Which I think is really important to do, Law.
I love that expression about companion. And although I'm not quite at that stage yet, we all know no matter what of your current age, at some point there's going to be a time where you're going to end working, whether you've chosen that deadline or whether it's been, sort of forced upon you, imposed on you.
Yeah.
And I think so, that's relevant for all of us listening in. If you are, in a workplace, even if there's some horrendous financial disruption that happens just at the point where you're going to retire, at least you feel more hopeful about the concept of retirement in the 5 years leading up to it.
Yes.
And I think that's probably the ultimate benefit of intention setting, is whether some great big disaster is going to happen or not, at least you're going to feel hopeful and optimistic in the run up to that, rather than dread and anxiety being your daily companions.
Yes.
So I think that's a really lovely way to describe it. I've never heard that been, or you use that phrase before. So they're not promises to beat yourself up with.
They're companions
to support you along the journey.
Yeah. And as that came out of the conversation I had this morning, because I'd not really put the 2 and 2 together. But as as you're exploring with somebody and you're chatting away, and then I normally at the end of the session will stop and do my own reflections about it. And then I just thought, that's what it is really. So that's, I've never used it before, but it came out of my reflections from the coaching session as to what my lessons, what am I taking from that as well, and what have I learned. And I just thought, that's a kinder way of doing it really. So again, it takes away that judgment of self, which is our biggest barrier to anything that we're doing.
Love
and
it.
I think we need to think about that really. How do we do that well?
So, Debs, how about I take your companion approach to this,
Yes.
and we'll look at it from like a commercial point of view.
Mhm.
If you're looking to create a sense of intention with someone else,
Yes.
for example, a team or a set of colleagues. So let's see if that works, because I think that companion piece is fantastic.
Cool.
The organisation you work for might have imposed some big KPIs, some big measures,
Yeah.
some shareholder commitments that are on everyone's to-do list.
Yeah.
But in terms of how we're going to achieve that, if we have a look at a companion piece
Yeah.
for creating a fresh start,
Nice.
no matter what age, no matter what stage, no matter what time of year. So guess what, Debs?
Go on. What have you got? Something in 3.
Well, actually, hold on. There are 5 bits to this.
Oh my God, I love it.
Guess what? There are 5 letters to the word fresh.
Oh, I love that. So a bit like our other ones. Here we go.
Here we go. Do you want the
What have you
clean
come
or
up
dirty
with?
version? So the first word beginning with F.
Clean version, please.
Clean version, please. Yeah, family show. So picture the scene. You're
Okay.
there. Your team or people around you have been through some right rough times recently,
Mhm.
but you know that potentially we don't want to get stuck in victim mode. We want to get into agency mode.
Yeah.
There might be lots of things against you, but if we channel Rotter's internal locus of control,
Yeah.
we get to decide our internal mindset and what that means in terms of what we focus on.
Mhm.
So, step number 1 of the fresh start, F stands for focus.
Oh, nice.
Wouldn't it be an interesting way to structure a 1-to-1 or a 1-to-6 and a team conversation
Mm-hmm.
around, right, team, what do we want more of and less of
Yeah.
in the quarter ahead? What do we want to work towards? What do we want to work away from?
Yeah.
And that taps into the classic Freud pleasure, pain idea of humans are driven to move in 2 directions,
Mhm.
towards the stuff they want more of, away from the stuff they want less of.
Yeah.
So let's say the organisation has set this huge, big goal that we need to achieve. What's our focus as a team in
Yeah.
terms of how we go about that? So that's your
Nice.
F.
I like the F. I think that also makes it more achievable because you're breaking that down, and it is more within your I suppose what's the word I'm looking for? It's more within your responsibility, more within your we're within something. I don't know what the word is, but you'll come up with it, Law. But it's something you can absolutely see you can do, if that makes sense.
Debs. Is that because it is R for realistic?
Yes, it could well be. See, I knew you'd come up with the word, Law.
So what do we mean by realistic?
Yeah.
So what is our capacity, team, to be able to do this? How can we remove drag and increase opportunity? What can we automate? What can we defer to machines?
Yeah.
How do we not do an own goal where all the nice, interesting stuff gets done by ChatGPT and the humans are sitting there just giving it instructions?
Yeah.
Like, how can we make sure that it's realistic within our capacity? So you've got F for focus.
Yeah.
What do we want more or less of? Realistically, how can we increase our capacity?
Mhm.
You might have half the team that you had 3 years ago, but you've got to produce double the workload. Let's keep our internal locus of control. How do we realistically maintain our capacity? And that then links to the E for empowered.
Nice.
So what do we want? What do I want from the quarter ahead? What can we do? What can't we do?
Yeah.
And rather than it feeling like a burden of all these kind of things that we have to do,
Mhm.
let's shift it. What do we get to do?
Yeah.
So it just puts you into that gratitude mindset
Yes.
of, we've got 1,000 customers that we've got to, we have to make sure we engage with. We've got 1,000 customers that we get to engage with.
That we get to. Exactly.
The shift suddenly
Yeah.
turns from, this arduous chore of churning out emails into, actually an opportunity to be creative
Absolutely.
and to be able to do it in a slightly different way. So the E stands for empowered.
I love
Rather
that.
than I have to do this, we get to do this.
And I can just add in one of the things that we can do to help just remind ourselves if we are staying on track to where we are is to do that. And a team can do this as part of their weekly or daily check-ins, actually, where you just keep them alive, those intentions you're setting to the focus. without the pressure on it. Is so asking the team to look at, so what mattered this week? Just asking that, what mattered this week? Like you said, where did I maybe do something really well? Where did I honor myself? Where did I show up well? And the more or less of, as you said, what do I need to do more of or less of? They're a great way to sort of remind you of, we are actually moving forward. We're not just stuck. And I think they're good questions for a team leader or anybody to ask of their team, just to check in with them.
Oh, I love that. So the S, strategic.
Yes. Oh, okay.
So as a result of what I'm doing now, if this was a chess game and these were just a few little pawn moves that I'm doing, what does that mean in terms of leading me towards some things that I know I'm going to kind of enjoy when I get there? So this is channeling the algorithm, if this, then that. So if our focus is now a team, what does that head us towards in the next kind of 3 to 6 months? So it's a sense of we're not just going round and round in circles, we're kind of spiraling and moving forward. So there's that sense of progression. And then the H, very simply, happy.
Oh,
what's going to keep us happy?
Yeah.
Does it lift our spirits? Is it something that makes us smile?
Yes.
If every Monday morning check-in just feels really depressing and arduous, then that human spirit is the reason why you have humans now involved in any kind of sort of supply chain or customer interaction or service provision. So how do we ensure that our spirits are lifted and that our focus is not only realistic, it's not only empowered on focusing on the stuff that we can do, it feels like what we're doing now is going to serve us strategically long term and ultimately what's going to help us keep happy. And linking back to our check-in conversation, some people love a plan. I love the fact that I know what I'm doing on the second Wednesday in December.
I know. I haven't got a clue, Law.
More than 11 months away.
I was going to say, that just freaks me out to go, I don't even know what day that is, let alone what am I doing on that day.
So let's say you and I were colleagues.
Yeah.
I have to recognise that I just might need to pretend that I'm talking about March.
Yeah.
As to not depress you too much.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, then that makes me feel a bit safe because I sort of know it has this. It infers I'm going to be around and I'm going to be doing stuff.
Yeah.
But that works for me.
It works for you. Yeah.
I can absolutely see for other people. I've learned this with my husband. The moment I start talking about summer holidays in December, he starts twitching. Whereas there are other people that really like the idea of focusing on what that is. So,
and that's what I think. That's the beauty of it, isn't it? The intention is there's no right or wrong to it. It's what's right for you, and understanding that from your team, as you said. The fact you're looking in December and I haven't even looked past February, it's like there's no right or wrong in that. It's just also a way of going, oh yeah, I wonder what that could look like. It's the curiosity then that can check in and take over for me then, that says, I'm curious to therefore know what might be out there in December. I'll look at that next week.
And do you know what's just made me laugh as a final bit? I remember I was doing some work. It actually was on when I was still employed, so it must have been, God, at least 18 years ago now. Yeah, a long time ago, during the war.
During the war.
And I think we'd got pitched this time management video that this company was trying to sell us to sort of play on our sales inductions, whatever. And so it must have been about, I don't know, it was around about the time where people stopped having their own secretaries and admin teams.
Oh, okay.
And I remember there was this kind of, managing your time video. And it was saying, ask your secretary to field all your telephone calls. And even back in 2008, it felt so old school and so old fashioned. And I think that's one of the other things about the realities of modern day life. We've become so flexible in our skills.
Yes.
We've got so much amazing technology that enables us to do things that typically you might have had to employ someone to then do. It's how to remain that focus and that intention.
Yes.
So there's a sense of progression and direction that feels right for you. So
I love that.
Yeah. It was
I love that.
Funny memory.
Yeah. God, that is a memory, actually, Law. Yeah, those were the days. Yeah, when they were typing calls in your secretary. Yeah, that's what I started doing, fielding calls for people. Yeah. You had more control and power, I tell you, and kept people straight and narrow for sure.
Yeah. And it's going to
Crazy,
be
isn't
interesting
it?
to see over the second half of this decade where the world of work goes to.
Yeah, I think
Is there
so.
going to be more kind of structure and
Yeah.
discipline and kind of roles that people stay in? Or is it going to become even more sort of flexible?
Yeah.
But one thing we know is as the work evolves around us humans are still made of the same physiology,
Yes.
the same cognitive and psychological makeup.
Yeah.
So the external environment might have rapidly changed in the world of work, but internally,
Yeah.
it's there's still a lovely human in the middle of it all,
There
trying to hold
is.
it all together.
Exactly. And to keep in touch with that human is really important. Choosing how to be.
Absolutely, which is why we thought it'd be a really good focus for this first month of this new year,
Yeah.
focusing on fresh start.
Yeah.
So where this one has been about get intention setting, get vision setting with, get vision ready with us. We're going to be taking 3 alternative approaches to creating that sense of fresh start.
Yes.
Ideal as a bit of self-coaching, bit of CPD, and also we'll tweak it so that each one of the episodes you've got some team-friendly stuff as well.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. And I think that sort of is my call to action on this one, Law, is I suppose it's reminding yourself actually. So consciously remind yourself you're not a project to be fixed, first of all. That's really important. You are a human, so you need to be cared for. So care for yourself is my other one of my call to action. How are you going to care for yourself through this? And I think the compassion, because for me, intentions work better when they begin with compassion and taking away those fixing words like I must, I should, I have to, so that you're coming at it from I'm more curious, I want to move towards that type of language as well can make a huge difference. So watch your language.
Oh, love it, Debs. Well, I, for one, as prep of this, have realised that a conference overview that I'd been creating is not as good as it could be compared to some of the conversation we've just had. So I'm going to be going back and refreshing my conference proposal.
Love it.
And so my call to action would be,
Yeah.
if you've got around you team or colleagues that just feel like they need a little bit of a kickstart, not to force people, but to be a companion.
Yes, a companion.
From an energy point of view.
Yeah.
Then whether it is the external locus of control, whether it is any day we can start creating a new beginning, whether it is a fresh approach, whether it is the step-by-step that Debs, you took us through with coaching, get someone else to listen to this. So together, the two of you can then bring that kind of fresh start approach.
Yeah. And I like that, fresh. I like that very much.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that with me and I'm going to work on that actually, Laura, over the next week. So
Marvellous, Debs. And
yes.
I'm going to take your words as a companion piece as I'll go along my day to day over the next week. And I can't wait to see you at the next one,
Yes,
Debs.
me too. Looking forward to it, Laura. Welcome back.
Yay.
Take care, lovely.
Love you.
Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Email us at contact@secretsfromacoach.com or follow us on Insta or Facebook. If you're a Spotify listener, give us a rating as it's easier for people to find us. And if you want to know more, visit our website www.secretsfromacoach.com and sign up for our newsletter. Here to cheer you on and help you thrive in the ever-changing world of work.